A collection size report is generated for almost every data management application. Summarization reports identify changes in collection size, including the number of files in the collection and the total size. This information is used to predict future storage size requirements and decide when new storage systems are needed. The summarization report implements the standard policy template. The input is checked for viability. A query is made of the persistent state information, defines the size of files. A conditional test is made to format the output line, and multiple microservices are applied. The standard template is organized into three sections: constraints, information used, and operations executed. This provides a characterization of the policy. Should it be possible to create a new version of the policy based upon just the template? The constraints. These include the conditional tests made to determine when, where, and who the rule is applied to. Information. This includes the input parameters, the session variables, and the persistent state information that are used in the rule. Operations. These include the policy functions and the microservices that are applied by the rule. The summarization rule test-sumsize.r uses the following constraints, information, and operations. There is an implied constraint that the rule will be applied to only your data. There are two input parameters to the rule, the home collection and a storage resource. There are two session variables that are used to generate the home collection name, $RODZone_client and $username_client. The rule uses persistent state information required to track which files are in which collections. In doing this, it looks at the collection name, the internal data identifier, the data size, the internal storage resource identifier, the resource name, and information about the data grid, the zone connection, and the zone name. The policy functions that are invoked include check resource input, create log file, find zone hostname, and isCall. And then the rule executes a set of microservices that actually implement the operations. There's a fail microservice, a for each loop, a conditional if test, collection creation, object creation, get the system time. The microservice MSI split path by key is used to separate a file name from a collection name. The remote microservice is used to do a remote execution to determine which data grid the user is in. Select generates the query, then there's a string length and a write line for the output. The rule to summarize the size of a collection is shown here. The template actually does not provide all of the information needed to implement the rule. A statement of the purpose of the rule and the algorithm that is being used are also needed. However, the templates for all of the rules can be summarized to determine the minimal set of persistent state information and microservices that are needed to enforce the collection properties. A summary of the templates for 175 rules is available in Chapter 1 of the Policy Templates Workbook. This lists 50% state information attributes and 123 microservices that were used by the rule. For the test sum size rule, that creates a log file. It makes a query to count the number of files and sum the data size for all sub-collections within the specified collection name. It loops over the results to extract the number of files and the data size sum. It converts the data size into gigabytes. It pretty prints the output in order to make certain that columns line up, and then iterates over each of the sub-collections. Take 7 minutes to complete exercise 67. Run a rule to summarize the size and number of files in your collection. Use the rule life zone home RW more rules test-sum size. Please load a paragraph describing your results into the lifetime library in the sub-collection class INLS 624 by the end of today's class.